I present you BALDUR. This is a 4x4 multi-TC floor stack and wide gap base, with it only being about 200,000 metal frags to build, but being 6 walls to main loot. This is easily by far one of the most strongest medium-sized bases in Rust. In this video I will show you the base design, talk about the pros and cons, and I will give a tutorial on how to build it yourself in a Rust server. Now before we jump into the design, allow me to introduce today's sponsor, Rustoria. Now thank you once again to Rustoria for sponsoring today's video. Now just like always, everything in this video will be timestamped. You can find the timestamps in the description of this video. I would also like to recommend you to watch the V1 version of this base called Heimdall. It's a 4x4 that's initially smaller and simpler, but this design is based on that, so I recommend to watch that as well. I would also like to point out that this video took a bit longer than I initially planned. The reason why is because with every base design I post on my channel, I want to properly try them out in actual vanilla Rust. This is what I've done, particularly with this base. I've been using it for a while, and there was one wipe in particular I wanted to try before releasing this base. First off, we're going to talk about the recommended group size for this base. Now, it's hard to pinpoint exactly because it really depends on how much you're playing and how actively you're farming. I personally would recommend to start building this base between a 5 and an 8-man group. If you really wanted to and you're a deeper group that wants to get raided and build a smaller size base, you could even live up to 16 people in this base if you really want to again. In terms of building costs, if you're leaving the outside wall stone, as I showed on the video, the base to fully build will cost you about 200k metal frags and about 50,000 stone. And for a medium-sized base that has 6 walls to loot and all the features that you need, this is a pretty good cost. In terms of upkeep, it's important to mention that there's 9 TCs, 1 main TC and 4 on the wide gap and 4 on the corners holding up the multi-TC parts of the base. Just to make things as easy as possible to understand, I've outlined an overview for you here. And for the main TC, we're talking about 29,000 metal frags of upkeep a day. If you place every single door, I would say this can go up to about 32 to 33,000 metal frags a day without anything stone as well. When it comes to the externals, each corner one that holds up a multi-TC part of the base, aka there's 4 of them, are about 4,000 metal each a day and 2,000 stone. If upgraded everything to metal, I would say this is about 5,000 metal frags 4 times. When it comes to the other 4 external TCs that hold up the wide gap, it's a little bit less. We're talking about 1,500 metal frags a day, and if everything upgraded to metal, I would say about 1,800 metal frags a day total. Now let's speak of the base itself and the features and the pros and cons before we start building it. The base has a lot of good features to mention, but we're going to start with the initial 4x4 base design. This base is totally evolved around the 4x4 core. Mark my words, but 4x4s are going to become the new meta. Early on, compared to a 2x2 or a 3x3, they are just a lot harder to raid. In the past, you would see base designs that have a 4x4 with inner peaks, so it would initially be a 2x2, but I'm talking about a 4x4 of literally just base, no peaks. If built correctly, it's very hard to raid this base on wipe day, because it's a 4x4. It's very hard for raiders to decide where to splash, and the amount of doors you can fit in here, the amount of ways up, is a lot better compared to a 3x3. I've never really gotten into 4x4s in the past, because usually I would end up with a 4x4 ring, which would just be way too expensive, but by floor stacking and applying multiple TCs, it's actually possible to still go with a cheap design. Another thing that would usually occur when building a 4x4 is the fact that it's cheap to raid from the side. Although with this exact design, we're talking about 6 walls from side to main loot, which is pretty insane compared to the cost. What's also worth to mention, next to the fact that this base is wide gapped, is that it is also floor stacked. This offers an extra layer of protection from possible top-down raids. Now when it comes to the roof itself, in the actual video and design, I've left it quite open and basic. I invite you, when you're building this base, to come up with your own ideas here, so that your top-down protection is even stronger. Next to the base having double peak down layers, I have focused on making it as cheap as possible. There's multiple ways up to the roof and to the shooting floor and to the peaks, including chutes inside and outside that lead you directly to the shooting floor. So no matter how messed up your raid defense is, you always have a pretty good chance at taking it back, even when everything looks lost. In this video, I'm using disconnectable TCs, but once again, you should really do what you prefer in terms of the external TC houses. Do them however you like, same goes for the compound. The final thing worth noting in this base design is the corner peaks I have applied. I don't just have peaks from top to bottom, but there's multiple horizontal peaks from the side instead of just from top to bottom. You can catch raiders off guard from spawning in your bedroom and peeking on them sideways instead of just from the top. This goes both for the inner layer of peaks, but also the outer layer above the dropbox areas. There's also takeover peaks for your initial inner peak downs that are segmented off. So if you lose that, you can still take those over from an initial different peak as well. To sum things up, there's enough bedrooms for you to fit your entire family and your family's family. But most importantly, there's a process that I've been recently applying to my base designs, which is mobility from your initial main bed. In this base, when spawning in your main bedroom, with only opening 2 doors, you have access to your shooting floor, and with only opening another extra door and a ladder hatch, you have access to both your inner peaks and your outer peaks, and a peek into your inner peaks as well. You basically never have to doubt about what bed to spawn in if you're getting raided. You just spawn in this one and you can get anywhere in the base in seconds. Now without further ado, let me show you how to build it. Now, for this build, it's important you know how to floor stack. If you don't know how to do it, I will be linking a very easy tutorial on how to do it yourself. I'm going to do it my way, which is a bit more advanced. I would recommend to do it the easy way if you don't know how to properly do it. Now, from the floor stack, it's important you go 2 squares out from the lower triangle and then remove the square and the triangle. From the higher triangle, what you want to do is attach another triangle to it and remove the original one. And then from the square that you build out, you build back. It should align something like this, with a triangle clipping into the edges of the squares. Now from the squares, you connect a 4x4. Doesn't really matter how you lay it out, as long as you leave that triangle like that. It's important we also check if the floor stack is correct. In this case, it is correct, which is very important. We're actually not 100% sure through my method, but I'm pretty sure it is. It's important you also upgrade the foundation for now, and it's important you upgrade any of the foundations here. I'm just gonna go with this one, and I'm gonna start sealing in the actual TC area as the so-called starter. I'll put my TC right here, and I'm gonna seal that off like that. But to prevent your triangle from decaying on the long run, it's important you attach some kind of like frame like this. You could even make it wood if you want to get rid of it later, but it's important because the foundations don't connect. Now this is your initial starter. If you get this down, you can build the entire base. Now normally I don't really do this, I just built the entire base in metal, but in our case I'm going to just be building in the material you should be building in. Since this is a relatively cheaper base design and it's split over multiple TCs, I'm going to go with the outside stone. Now 4x4 starters are very overpowered as they are pretty hard to raid because there's 4 walls and they can't be easily splashed. Here's a layout that I like to go with. Now during the build, I don't want to go into too much detail, but this is the layout I like, and it's for 2 reasons. There's two ways in, and they're very separated from each other. There's a wall blocking it, and raiders early on have to use quite a lot of explosives to even get to like somewhat of a main area of the base. And it's also cool because this part has a place for a refinery. Now we're gonna attach a roof to the whole thing, except for the 2 ways up. And once that's done, we're gonna add the 2nd floor straight up. Now for the 2nd floor, I'm going to leave the layout exactly how you guys want it as well. I recommend having some kind of area where you have a lot of drop chests and where you have space to place mixing tables. This is a layout that I like. mixing table space, drop chest space, and when you have the jump up, there's a pathway which leads to another corner, which is another jump up. And the same goes for the other side. And once you've sealed off the second floor, we're going to build the third floor. We're going to go with walls all the way around once again. On the third floor, I usually like to have bedrooms, or in this case, it is important that the way up is not going to be in any of the corners anymore, or on the side. This has to be somewhere in the middle for our build to work. What I like to do is do 2 frames and create a bedroom like that, and a bedroom like that on the long ends, which directly lead into the jump up. And then in the middle here, you could have another bedroom right there, could have another bedroom right here. And in the middle here, we have some kind of jump up. It doesn't really matter how you do it, but we have some kind of jump up that leads to the roof. So you seal everything off, including all the corners now. And on the roof here, for now, we'll have a door, like a doorway that's closed off. From here, you're going to want to build the outer ring. So what you want to do is we want to create, or go from the triangle we have, which is on the corner right here. You want to go with square, another square, and a triangle back inside. Do it again to reach 3 triangles with 3 squares. Then you're going to do triangle, triangle. You're going to do square, triangle, triangle, and then square, square, square again. Basically, until you have something like this. It's important you remove all the outside foundations. You remove basically every single one that's not needed. You're going to leave them like this. You're going to go all the way around like that. And once we've created the foundation of the outer ring, we're going to want to place the walls. I like to have a door on each corner. So we're going to do door, wall, 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 and then door. So 4 walls and then a door. From here, you want to build up with walls. 1 layer, but also another layer on top. So 2 more walls on top. For the second layer, it's important that wherever you place the door, if you place them like this, to have a window above the door on each side on the third wall or on the third height. Now from here we can build peek downs. Now if you have built the exact way I've built this 4x4, once again the layout should be totally up to yourself. What you can do is you can place a frame right here and a frame right here. And then for the other 4 frames you want to do this one, this one, this one, and this one. And you want to do all walls around. And after that it's important that we create this kind of like pathway, which should be left with something like this. Doesn't have to be this complicated. It doesn't really matter how you do it, but I like to have a longer pathway so I can add more doors basically. What you also want to do is you want to do a frame here and a frame here, and you can do a ladder hatch here and a ladder hatch there. Now I don't have the ladder hatches right now. Let's just say you don't have the ladder hatches yet. What you can go with is you can go with a twig stair for now. You want to close the 4x4 off. And from here, it's pretty simple. We do another layer and we close this wall completely in. And we close that off from the top. You'll be left with something like this. I recommend placing doors here, but you don't really have to yet. You can do that in the second stage here. It is somewhat practical to build your peaks from here. What I recommend to start or to jump out on this wall right here and then start with this triangle in the middle. Will help. And what you want to do then is you want to do this one, which connects, and then you want to do on the corners, you want to do those. So let's say you have these ones in the middle first, and then you want to do those clipping in. You might notice, how do you place this door? It's actually possible. You just have to do it from below. Now from the peaks, what you want to do is wherever there's a window now, you want to do a half wall with a low wall. It's very important. And you want to do that on each side. And then next to that, you want to do a door. And then for the rest, you just want to do walls, except right in the middle, you want to do a frame. So we do wall, frame. You want to do that all the way around. Now, it is important to put doors on these temporarily. These are temporary doors. These doors actually need to stay the single ones, but just for now. What you want to do is you want to add a second layer of walls. Although you will notice that you won't be able to place the wall above the low wall right there. Now, you're going to have to do a little trick. So you can just do that, and then you should be able to have the wall stay like that. And once you have done that, there's the easiest part. We're gonna basically be closing off the shell. So you just want to start at a random point. It doesn't even matter where, with a square. And you'll notice that's probably the worst spot because the low stability is too low there. But let's just say in the middle here. And we're just gonna go with squares, and we're just gonna follow the outline, the outer wall of the base. Be able to place these. But you notice the stability is kind of getting low. But this inner layer, you will notice, is not possible yet. For now, we're just going to leave it like this. I would say this you could be considering as your initial starter. You have peek downs. You have a 4x4 with 3 floors. You even have main loot if you really want to take the risk and move loot up here already. But once again, you have these squares that you can't place. But yeah, this is basically considered to be your initial starter. Now, from these triangles that we've placed, for now you want to do a twig triangle in the middle here. You can also do it on this side. And we're going to go with a multi-TC. So what you want to do is you want to go 8 triangles out, or 8 squares out, and then a triangle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, and then a triangle. Remove everything. And then you want to build back with half moons until you reach this part. And this square you want to upgrade, the rest you want to just demolish again, and you should be left with a multi-TC gap. Now once again, you do that on every side. Now from this square you want to attach another square like that, and from here you want to do triangle on that side, triangle on that side. Here comes a bit more complicated part. What you want to do in twig is you want to do a square with followed with 2 triangles like that. Then you move that triangle and square, and you upgrade these 2, and now you do the same on the other side. It's important that basically the way you should see it is this centered towards the east, right? You want to do this offset towards the left, creating the gap right here. You don't want to continue there. This part should be attached to the middle here, and this part as well. So you have this entire side, which is the east side. Now once we're done with these 4 external TC parts, we're going to create the first layer of the outer ring. What you want to do is you want to do a door on the right side of the 2 squares, and then go around with a full wall, where on the corners you go around like that, and on the inside of the like multi-TC part you create like this kind of gap, and you do that all the way around. And once you've created this first layer of walls, it is important we attach all the multi-TC parts to its own TCs. Now since we want a wide gap TC in the center here, we can't actually go out from the center and expand like each one of the 4 parts from the center. We're gonna do it from the corners. That way we leave space for a TC on its own on the center. Now what you want to do is on each of the 4 or 8 of these triangle corners, you want to attach 3 triangles like this and remove the connecting one. And you want to do the same on this side. You create a shape like this, and you want to do that on each corner. And for now, you want to attach two frames like that and 2 frames like that on each corner as well to connect the foundations. From here, we're going to attach the TC. Now, there's a very important logic that I want to apply here, which I usually do when I do multi-TC bases, just to prevent like mistakes. So what I do is I center myself from the base inside, and as you can see, this entire part, including these 2 triangles and these 2 triangles facing the south pretty much, are 1 TC part. Now instead of connecting the TC in the middle, once again we're going to connect it on the corner, and we're going to take this triangle every time, which means from the center we're going to take this left 2 triangles where we built the TC out from, not the right ones. If you can see, this is a new part. This would be the right one. The right one we leave alone. So what you do is you take squares, and you're gonna go out with 4 squares. Then you're gonna do a half moon with another square for now. Now you upgrade the end square. You can just remove all this, and you can upgrade all this. And from here, we want to put a frame like this, and we want to put 2 triangles like that. We're gonna do 2 half walls here. This square right there can actually be removed if you don't want it. It's just easier, I guess. You want to do a full wall here with a floor on top. And from here, you want to place a TC with a window and with an extra door. Like that. Now, from here, you want to attach a floor frame, a square floor frame like that. And attached to that, you want to do a triangle, same as on the other side. And you want to create this half moon shape. If you want, you can put a turret here like that. Or you can just completely remove the triangle like that. This is kind of like the minimal thing you want to do. Now this one is nice because you can actually go ahead and place a twig floor here, followed with a twig roof, and it will disconnect the TC. So they're very simple disconnectables. I would also quickly like to say, whatever TCs you want to do, you do. In this case, I like to go with simple disconnectables. We're not done with the externals yet. We've only created 4. Now we want to do 4 more for the wide gap. For the wide gap, what you want to do is you want to go from this center 2 triangles, squares. You want to go triangle, triangle, square, and then create 3 half moons followed with another triangle. So 1 half moon, 2 half moon, 3 half moons, and a triangle. You remove everything except the 2 end squares, like that. You have a triangle over there. You want to go back with squares. And from here, you want to do triangle. Something like exactly along the lines of this. Now you can actually remove everything And you'll end up with something like this. This is where your white gap is going to be attached to. Now here it's important you place frames so that the foundations connect. And from the center you want to go out 4 squares. Followed with a half moon again and another square. Remove the entire half moon. Actually remove the square in a second too. So 2 triangles like that. Remove the square and we're creating the same exact multi-TC or disconnectable TC right there. Once you've done with your externals, you could do either 2 things. You could continue building on your base or you could focus on a compound. If you want to create a smaller size compound, I recommend going with a frame here, followed with a door. And we're going to do the trick with the embrace or the metal barricade on top. You place it like that and you remove both twig sides. And then what you have to do to make sure that no one can build in is place some electrical components on these so no one can potentially attach twig. And from here it's fairly simple to connect a compound. You basically need 6 per side, so 6 times 4, 24 walls in total, 3 per like little segment. And what you want to do is you want to place the first wall aligned with the door that you just placed. The second wall, you want to go onto these 2 foundations and you want to go a little bit deeper in than this edge right here. So what you want to do is about, if you say the edge is right there, you would say something, the edge is now right here, and then you want to go out a little bit like that. You should be able to place a wall perfectly in between. And you do that on every single side. And once we have created this first layer of the outer ring, we can start by adding 2 more floors above it. So 1, 2. And you do that all the way around. And from here on the 3rd floor, you want to put a frame above where the normal way in as well. You can also do it on the other side, but for now we're going to do it on that side. And you're going to continue by walling in the rest. Now this part might be a little bit complicated, but it's important you pay close attention because it's important that we attach the right parts to the right TCs. Very, very important. Starting off from the door, I want to put 2 triangles like this. So they're attached to the middle here. Followed with a frame for a ladder hatch. If you have the ladder hatches already, you can go ahead and place them. If not, it's fine. So that's the middle part. You want to go down to your inner peaks. And unlike these, where these triangles are, you want to do 2 frames with a window. And the same goes on the other side. Now, on the outside here, you want to put 2 floors. So make sure they're attached to the outside, like that, 2 triangles. So you only have the square part left and the middle here. The middle here is fairly basic. You attach everything to the outside. As you can see, I can attach it to 2 parts. Well, you can do it right there, creating a gap, or you can do it right towards that side. Important to do it to the outside in this case. Now, all you're left now with is these 2 gaps. What you want to do is you want to attach them to the outside as well. It's very important. So you attach a frame, not to the left here, but to the right, because you can see you can clip it. So make sure it's to the outside. You can't place this wall, you shouldn't be able to. And then you can do this one with a low wall and like that. Now, in this case, the frame or the floor should stay because it's attached to that wall. If you do it wrong, the floor will collapse because it's attached to the window, and that's incorrect. So same goes on the other side, like that. And for now, we're going to leave it like that, and we're going to do that on all the corners. Here, you want to focus on closing in your peaks. Now, at each corner, again, you do a frame right there, triangle frame with a window and a door like that. On the other side, you do a floor and 2 full walls. You don't close that one in, you don't close that one in. Now, on the inside here, you place a square connected to the inside again. And with the logic with multi-TC, it's very important you follow whatever is below. This is to maximize stability later on, and also for you to prevent not being able to place frames on particular spots. For the rest, you want to attach 2 of the floors to the outside here, creating the gap once again. And these squares are also going to be on the outside. And then, tiny correction here, sorry for the interruption, but the closing of the peaks shouldn't be done on the outside here, it should be done on the inside. Basically, you will create this kind of like gap. It's very important for reasons later on. And what's important to know from this point on is that at this stage of your base, the base is pretty weak. It's very risky and it's pretty easy for people to raid. As you can see, there's access here. If you don't have those ladder hatches, they have access to your outer peaks. They basically have access to your inner peaks, etc. It is very important you focus on securing that up as much as possible by placing doors on the inside. Now, there's 2 ways you can go from here. You can either place you can either start building the shooting floor, or you can start building the inside. It is pretty useful to build the inside first because of stability reasons. You can see there's nothing placed here. But if you really, really have to, you could build the shooting floor from here on out as well. I'm going to go ahead and build on the inside. Now on the inside, for each corner, we want to upgrade these 3 walls. And they are basically the walls that are on the corners. Corners are the weakest on this base. It's important they are metal, but also for another reason, which is these conditional corners right here. place them like this, there's a gap. If you rotate them with the hard side facing inwards, there's none. So you do that, and then you put 2 floors on the inside here, followed with a frame. Same goes here, followed with a frame, and then you close that off. Up here you place 2 doors, followed with 2 half walls, breaking the lower half wall, and placing a low wall under it. Up here you place a frame. You place a frame here too, and these sides you close up. You want to do a full wall on this side, same on the other side. It's very important you do it in this stage. And up here you want to do windows. From here you want to do the same as we did above. So attach 2 triangles to the inside here and 2 walls to the left and to the right. And then this square is going to be connected to those 2, not the outside ones. Now on the outsides here you want to put 2 frames for extra stability. They're not really required. And if you want, but it can make the jump up here a bit aids in the start, you can close off these 2. It's basically done for this area. And up here in stone, what you want to do is put 2 frames on the 2 sides where you can place it, just making this gap a little bit smaller. Now this is what your corner should look like in the end. Obviously there should be a ladder right here that you can go up with, ladder hatch up here, bedroom up here with the glass window replaced with a horizontal embrasures. On the inside, however, I recommend placing these 2 frames for extra stability. Now for the inner ring, you could segment out the entire thing, but it kind of removes the peak angles here. So what I would recommend for extra stability is to just place 2 frames on every single side. Now as you notice on the inner peaks, so not the outer ones, the inner ones, it's quite open. There's 2 floors of just nothing, and you can still not close this off. It's very important that we do this so that we can close that off, and we can also fix this openness. What you want to do is you want to remove this double door. Well, you can keep it if you want to, and you want to place kind of like a little room here for now. Close that off. This will segment the peak. So if you do that on every single side, you should be left with something. And then from here, you want to build upwards with the same walls. Actually, correct me here, wrong. You cannot do it on these sides because of the squares. So on these sides, you just want to do half wall, low wall. From here, it's kind of weird what we have to do here, but want to close this off. And if you want, you can apply the floor stack here. Although I do recommend to focus on attaching it to the core, not the outside. So it should be the lower part, not the higher part. This is the higher part. This is the lower part. So we attach it to the lower part and we close the lower part off. You might need a ladder here. Then what you can do, and you notice you can't build here, but you can build here and here. So what we do is we close that off as much as we can, like this. Once you're done with these corners, you should have enough stability to close off the rest of the roof for now. The thing you want to do is on this inside part here is build up with frames until you reach the floor where the door is. So right here. You close the rest off and then you do walls. From here you can do a ladder hatch right here or here. I would do it here and close the rest off like that. This is a bedroom. You can place locker here. A frame here with a door if you want to, another locker there, or a turret, whatever you want. From here we can focus on the main shooting floor. For each side, what you want to do is build up with frames, build up with frames, and build up with frames until you reach the main shooting floor. You want to follow the foundations below, so triangles on these, creating the white gap, and then 2 squares on the side. You're going to do that on every side. Now from here you want to build 2 more frames on every corner till the 3rd floor. Actually, for convenient reasons, let's just build up these as well. So on the inside, you place 2 windows. On the outside, you do a wall, and you do a wall here as well. Now, it's actually pretty practical to just do a low wall first, and then do the floors. Remove that low wall, then do a half wall. You could also do half wall in here, and then that one for extra stability. Probably recommended to do that, so you have it like this. If you don't have the right stability, you could also add another frame right there and right there for extra stability. Now you do that on every corner, like I did. On the inside, to finalize it up, you attach 2 squares to the center of the base, like this. Now you go around with windows all the way around, except for this particular side. So I would say from the inside, the square that's on the left. Continue on with windows till you have windows all the way around, and in here you want to do a door facing this way. Actually, I'm doing it wrong. It's a door facing that way. Place a door just to make sure, and it should be like this. Now from here, it's important to work on the bunkers and the honeycomb of the main loot on the shooting floor. So what I recommend is to do 2 bunkers, because the bunkers will also be the ways up. This side, just on a full honeycomb, and you can literally just full honeycomb it like that. So I'd recommend to also do that on the other side. And now for the bunker side, what you want to do is you want to honeycomb the corners. Like that. You don't want to place a wall here. It's very important. You want to place a wall here and a wall here. You should notice when we place a roof right now, it will open. It's important because if there's a wall here, you won't be able to open that bunker. So what you want to do here instead is put a roof, but you want to attach it to the outside, not opening that wall. You should notice that you cannot place this roof, or floor I mean, so it's important you place that floor first. It's also important you place these first, and you make sure that these are connected to the inside and not to this outer wall. And now you should be able to place this roof like that, not opening the wall. Bunker should still work. On the corners, we're going to have bedrooms, and it's important to realize that we're doing the same on every corner, so it's very simple. On both sides where you have the door that leads out to the shooting floor, you put 2 single doors, and then you completely go around with walls like this. On the inside here, you attach a wall right there, and you attach a wall right there, and you do another 2 sets of single doors. And on the inside here, you could just wall it off, so you segment them. You can also just do doors like this. For the rest, it doesn't really matter what you do here. You can just do 2 more frames if you want to. On the middle side of the shooting floor, it's important that there's some way up to peek on the roof. So what I like to do is to go with a low walls here, or half walls. Close that off. If you really don't like to have this open, I would recommend placing a window there, just so you don't get shot in your feet. And on the inside here, we place windows, followed with 2 triangles like this, and followed with literally just walling that in. The outside here, it's important you follow what's below. So this square goes to the white gap. Now for the inside part, it's important you follow what I'm doing, because you might mess up the bunker the way you should. You can't place this one. You can just place a frame there. But this one is going to be a bit harder, a bit trickier. Now, I can place it, but in case you can't place it, you need to go down all the way to your peek downs. And in the middle triangle here on one of the sides, wherever you can't place it, you build up with frames. You notice that come up here, you can actually clip the frames through. It should work fine, and you should have enough stability then to place this. Now, up here, you just want to create a fairly simple airlock for roof access. Now from here on out, I would say we're almost done. I recommend to change the roof however you like. Now for the initial design, that is basically it. The only thing that's left really to do is to create these like chutes going up all the way to the shooting floor. I recommend placing doors or windows on the bottom, so you could potentially be in here and look outside. You put a double door on the bottom here, and once going up, you want to wall that in, just so raiders can't like potentially see you going up. Up here, you want to do another ladder hatch followed with windows, possibly glass or embrasures, depending on what you like. You close that in, make sure you place a ladder hatch here. And then it's important you also use ladders. Now you would say this is all open. Yes, that is true. What you want to do here is you want to put shop fronts. You want to make sure the like big part is going inwards, because it actually helps you break your fall. I would say that's done for the initial entire base. There's a lot of like little things you can do. You can change the way you loot, you make your main loot, etc. It's all based on your own preferences. And I would recommend watching the cinematics and the intro of this video to see how I have it, as it's just one of the many examples. And that was it for this one. When it comes to this base design video in particular, it's worth noting that I've changed some things up. With my videos, I'm trying to get more to the point straight up, cut out all the unnecessary information, but also in terms of design, focus on feedback more specifically from you guys and implement that before releasing a base. And overall, I'm just trying to improve the overall quality of the videos. If you've made it to the end and if you appreciate this, I would appreciate it if you can leave a like and a comment, possibly subscribe to the channel. It would help me out a lot. I want to thank you all for watching. If you do end up using the base, make sure to let me know. You can always join my public Discord, and right there if you need any help or if you want to share cool moments. I will keep grinding new designs, smaller ones as well, coming very soon, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.